I was the only female lighting design major. And I had a friend who was also a lighting major, but she graduated a year before me. So she was like one class up. And then me, and the whole class below me was all men. So that got hard when I took the job as the master electrician at the theater, and I had to run all crews.
I'm Corina and Erin, and welcome to Her Salty Words. I am so excited to introduce today's special guest, Erin Z. Westfall. Erin is a dancer, actor, writer, producer. She has a degree in theater from Central Washington University. She also has a master's degree in speech therapy. Erin is inspiring and full of wisdom when it comes to reminding yourself what an awesome person you are. She's an amazing human who has such a good heart. And when you watch and listen, because I'm going to give you some more deets on that in just a little bit, you're going to feel like you're talking to your best friend who's telling you, you got this, go get it, you can do it. Before we jump in, click subscribe so you can hear future interviews with amazing women on Her Salty Words. And then check out Why You Gotta Be So Salty, the YouTube channel. Subscribe, like the content that you see there, because there'll be a variety. It won't just be Her Salty Word podcast in visual form. There'll be some other content that's created. And then last, try out saltywords.com. There's just a lot of great places that you can go and click, find content, and see all of the great creative things that everyone's doing, including myself. So I look forward to you following along and joining in. So check it out and let's jump right in. Come on, hang out with us with Her Salty Words special guest, Erin Z. Westfall. Hello, Erin. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So welcome to Her Salty Words. I'm so excited that you're here.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Good. I'm excited because I get to gush about all the times that we work together and how awesome you are, and then be able to hear and share all the great things you're doing, and maybe talk about some things that are kind of going on in just the world today to a certain degree, and then just hear your smart thinking, you know?
Sounds good.
Good. So how are you doing? How is everything going?
Oh, things are going pretty well. At work, things are fabulous. They're growing really fast, and so we're trying to keep up. I work for a startup company, and so we're building it as we go, and that's been a lot of fun. And my dog, unfortunately, just got diagnosed with Addison's disease, so I've been dealing with that a lot lately, trying to figure that out. Yeah. A friend introduced me to a support group for it. So I've learned a lot about how to best help Piper out with that. But it's been kind of rough with that. But other than that, pretty good. I just had a birthday.
Oh, yes, I remember. I remember like I was there. I remember because I put, I found this GIF that I really liked with the dude from Saturday Night Live. He played on Elf, and he's like, oh, it's your birthday. And I just imagine that if you were having a party, like I'd be there like, oh my gosh, it's your birthday. Exactly. Well, that will give us our first cheers. So I've got my wine up in my, cheers.
Cheers.
Yep. Happy belated birthday. And it looked like it was a great day too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we went scuba diving at the Homestead Crater in Midway, Utah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was fun.
That's nice. I saw some of the pics that you put up too. So really, really awesome. Good for you.
Thanks.
So like you gave a little bit about what's going on now, but give us a rundown of just like yourself. Where how did you end up coming to Idaho? How did it become your home base? And I've never really sat down in that regard. So if you grew up in Idaho and that's something I missed, or you were born here, forgive me. I want to make it authentic. And here's a real organic, oops.
I am one of the few original locals.
Awesome.
I am born and raised in Idaho, Burley, Idaho.
Nice.
And the only time I've ever left were for 3 years to go to undergrad at Central Washington University in Ellensburg, Washington. That's where I got my degree in theater. Nice. And then I wasn't planning on coming back to Idaho, but I got accepted to grad school at Idaho State. So It dragged me back, and I haven't left since.
That Idaho State, that Pocatello, right? It just gets you.
Yeah, the school's over at Pocatello, but there is a distance program for speech language pathology in Meridian. So I just had to move to the Treasure Valley.
Good. That's really smart.
Don't think I would have wanted to end up in Pocatello.
No, I agree. This one time in band camp, LOL.
Mm-hmm. I've been to a couple of those.
Yes. I remember when we went there the first time, and it was just so depressing. And I thought, who would live here? And,
right.
And then Caleb is finishing up school there. So I guess one of my kids ended up going.
I think school is the only reason people live there. They either work there or they're going there.
Yeah, for sure. It's just really depressing when you go into sort of the city, all those big factories off to your right. Mm-hmm. It's just it's like you can feel the energy and whatever work or history is there. It's just so like it. And then the high school downtown, when I drove by it with Caleb when I was visiting him, I thought, what the heck happened there? It just, I could feel screams and just this really sad energy. And I guess there was a big fire there.
Oh, no. I don't know much about the high school down there, but I definitely have that same kind of energy feel when I start getting close to town. You can feel the energy is sort of suck out of you.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Exactly. Well, hopefully Caleb will come back. Okay. No, LOL. He is.
I'm sure.
So what made you decide to go to Ellensburg, though, out of, all of the schools that were available? Because that's a small town, too. That's a pretty...
It is, and that's actually a really interesting story. So I hope you're ready for a bit of a long one.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So let me set my wine down here. Nope. I originally went to University of Idaho up in Moscow to be an architecture major. Mm-hmm. And so my freshman year, I was up there. I was in a sorority, going to school for architecture, and struggled quite a bit coming from a small, incredibly conservative community where I hadn't had much life experience to all of a sudden being on a college campus, right, in a sorority with a lot of experience all of a sudden being tossed at me, and I don't want to say I really got into bad situations, because that makes it sound like I got arrested or stuff. And nothing like that happened, but I was headed down kind of a bad path. And things just weren't happy. Yeah. And I was at a drag show up there. There's a dance club, and it's an all age, if I remember correctly, it must have been because I was under 21. So an all ages dance club. I can't remember the name of it. And they were having a drag show, and we all sat down on the dance floor to watch the drag queens perform. And I sat on a guy's foot. And so I turned around to say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And turns out this guy and I ended up dating for 3 years. And he was visiting from Ellensburg, Washington. Oh, wow. Yeah, him and two of his buddies, that they were all in the theater program, had found out that Moscow has this huge drag show culture, and had come over specifically to see this drag show. So I ended up spending the rest of the night hanging out with those guys, and dated long distance with Mike for a while, and then decided to transfer schools to be with him, because I was honestly connecting with him and his friends and the other people in the theater department way more than I was connecting with people at U of I.
Yeah.
So I transferred. My parents thought I was absolutely crazy because I went from having a full ride scholarship to having to pay out-of-state tuition. And they didn't have an architecture program, so I switched majors to theater. Nice. So my parents were like livid. They did not know what I was doing. They thought I was crazy. But it ended up being the best move of my life because I've met some of my bestest friends ever still to this day in Ellensburg. I'm so proud of my theater degree. All of the problems I was having at U of I weren't even a thought at Central. So it really was the best move I could have possibly made. It's a long story.
Well, no, not at all. That's when you know it's a right move, when you're not even thinking about where you left. Like the day before yesterday, and you're like, I'm ready,
Yeah.
And I'm so glad you ended up in the theater, because then it resulted in us being able to do Young Frankenstein together.
Which was one of my favorite shows to be in.
Yes, that's an amazing experience. I love all of the ebb and flows that went on with the show, and, getting to know everybody, and then, seeing you sing and dance and perform, and being able to watch off to the side, and then learning sort of the belly dance a little bit, and I just, I enjoyed just all of it. And I don't know, there was just something special, except the singing. And I remember the singing for me, because I'm not confident in that. And so I remember when we did our first show and I went up the aisle to sing, and I was in my high pitch, and then I forgot the words because I was nervous. So here's this really high pitch, and then all of a sudden it's cut off because I stopped singing, and because of the words. And then everyone turns toward me because it's a shocking, like, what just happened? And I'm like, that's not what I'm looking for. I wanted to blend in and not,
and you were standing out.
Right. And so, yeah, it was, I loved that. And I loved being able to get to know you. And I just remember when we became Facebook friends at that time, I loved your posts, especially when you were kind of talking out loud, some of the either the choices you were kind of making, like one of them was with your car, like your purchase of your car, what that meant. And, kind of, you were just thinking out loud. And I remember I just enjoy those posts because, it makes the reader stop and think too, because it's a rhetorical statement post, and it brings everyone in without needing to sort of start a conversation, so to speak.
Right. Well, I really appreciate that feedback, because with social media, when you post things like that are personal, it's hard to know if it resonates with people, because you get people that like it, but I mean, who knows if they even read it? I'm pretty sure that some people just scroll through and like everything.
Yeah.
And don't really sit and read it and like let it brew for a little bit. And then there's always the trollers, of course, that think that it's funny to write, some crude comment about your very heartfelt post. So you don't get a lot of people who actually say, hey, this meant a lot to me. So I really appreciate that you just said that, because I always figured that people were rolling their eyes.
Well, I understand, because even as women, sharing your feelings, it's very vulnerable, because already you have to navigate tone, you have to navigate words. When you speak, it's one way, but I know every time I'm posting something, I'm very specific with the words, and I imagine the reaction as well, just kind of how you were talking about too. What will people say? And then if I post and then I'm like, oh man, and I think too much, I'm in my head too much about it. And that's something that, I have to work on, but I just love when I see people do it. So when you do it, it gives me the confidence to also be truthful in myself as well, and sort of embrace and be a part of that building community, if you will.
For the longest time in my life, vulnerability was the scariest thing. It was the one thing I would not do, And I went through great lengths to not be vulnerable in front of people. I used to have a bit of like a little white lie problem when I was younger.
I hear you.
Because I didn't want to be vulnerable in front of people. So I made up all sorts of little white lies to try to help cover the vulnerable spots in me. And then I don't know what switched, because I was talking with my husband, Troy, about this years ago when we first got together, just trying to figure out why I'm so different now than I was then. And I can't figure out what the catalyst was that switched it.
Right.
But something happened, and all of a sudden, like I almost revel in the vulnerability. There we go.
Yes.
Because I feel like that's where you have way deeper connections with people. And I think I might be addicted to that.
Yes.
So I feel much better about where I'm at now versus where I was then. But like I said, I just don't know what it was that caused the shift. I'm glad it happened.
I hear you. Yeah. I hear you there. It allows for more authentic connections and, allows you to, by opening yourself up, then other people have access to you. And I think that's the biggest thing vulnerability allows.
Yeah. Well, and also I feel stronger allowing my vulnerability, there we go, to come out, which is interesting because you would assume the opposite, that being vulnerable would make you less strong. And I think the exact opposite is true. I think being vulnerable makes you way stronger.
Yes, I agree with you there. It makes me think of weakness. Weakness is not weakness. It's not something less than. It's actually strength, because in weakness, you have to be vulnerable, and acknowledging, opening that space up. It allows you for that vulnerability, the things that, those challenging things to be there. Then it creates the space for you to grow out of that and just expand. It's expand in universal type of way. It makes me think of the universe when I think of that expansion, that there's so much space for so many wonderful things.
Yeah. And I think that builds I guess when I picture like a universal growth, I can't help but not think of like a big net of interconnections with everybody who is experiencing the universe at this point in time. And so even if you are being vulnerable in your own little section of the world, I feel like as it expands, it actually branches out and connects with all of these other people that are out there. And that's where you create connection. And I think we're getting into like my weird religion, which is, I think, whatever you send out there, it resonates everywhere, and it can cause changes in other people and other places. So you want to send out the good. Being vulnerable is good, and sending out the positive intentions and the openness instead of negativity and closed-mindedness.
Right. Right. Or closing yourself off in that closed-mindedness. You're closing yourself to those stars and those vibrations that you're talking about. It makes me think of the way you're describing it, of Wi-Fi. You send out the signal and then you're connecting to the network, all those connections. And that's almost more powerful because you jump on the vibration that's already out there, and you're jumping on a vibration that already has so many energies there, and you're just going at the frequency, and then you go up. But just like a Wi-Fi, it can be, it kind of disrupts, or it's weaker or it's stronger. So I feel like that, when you're putting out those intentions or working toward that journey, it's going to go up and down in frequency. And I think what you're saying inspires me to just think embracing that and allowing that to be a part of the journey is like so important.
I think so too.
That's awesome. So belly dance is a big part of your life too, as well.
Yep.
How did you start getting into belly dancing? And I hope I said it correct. I hope I was correct in the terminology and everything. And
the type belly dance?
Yeah, the type of dance you do. And
yeah, well, I mean, it's once again a long story. So I will wax poetic here for a second.
Yes.
So I have danced pretty much my whole life. Started when I was 3. When I got into middle school, I started competing. And we're talking at this age, ballet, jazz, lyrical, tap, kind of the traditional standards. Mm-hmm. I competed through middle school, junior high, and high school, and it really was my life. It was all I did after school, unless I was at work. And so my senior year, my teacher pulled us all aside to talk to us about our goals. And I told her I wanted to be a dancer when I grew up. And she told me, you're a great dancer, but you just really don't have the body type to take this much farther than you have, because I'm 5'11", and I'm super tall for dancers especially, but just for girls in general anyway. And I was blessed with a bit of a curvaceous body. I've got these, which most dancers don't have. And so that really knocked the wind out of my sails. And I didn't dance through college until my senior year. I got cast in West Side Story. And got to be so when I auditioned for it, the choreographer loved it so much, she asked me if I would also be the dance master. And so kind of like number 2 underneath the choreographer. And I had a big solo part, and it was awesome. It was just like going back to my heart. And I realized that my teacher didn't know what she was talking about. And I was really disappointed in myself for listening to her and letting her negative comments about myself kind of direct the direction I went in my life after that. And so I wanted to get dance back into my life. And, it was at that point, since I was a theater major, it was more musical theater type dance that I was being a part of. I choreographed cabaret that was done with a student group separate from school. And at the time I was, sorry, I've got my dog down here if I keep looking down.
That's okay.
Yeah, she's so sweet. Hi, baby. So she, getting back on track. So at the same time, I was working at a fruit stand, and back in high school, I'd had a really bad snowboarding accident, and I hurt my lower back really bad. And I was managing it okay until the last summer that I was working at the fruit stand, and there were 10-hour days. You had 4 10-hour days that you'd work, and you're hauling fruit boxes around, and it's pretty hard on your body. And for some reason, I must have done something to my back that aggravated that old issue. And I sat down one day and I couldn't get up again. I literally couldn't stand. And that day I was already wearing a back brace to try to take care of my back, and it just got really bad. So my boss told me to go see his chiropractor, who was a horrible chiropractor, and he did really bad things. But the one good thing that he did do was he said, "Have you ever tried belly dancing?" And I scoffed at that because I was a ballerina. I had won trophies in all sorts of forms of dance, and you want me to do belly dance? So I don't want to say I was a jerk, but I didn't understand the art form at that point. I didn't know what it was. I just knew kind of the caricature in movies and pop culture. But when I moved to Boise just a couple months later, I had no friends. I didn't know anybody here. I was here for grad school. I was super lonely, and I kept thinking about his words, like, oh, okay, belly dance. I guess I could try it. I don't know. So I looked online and I found a belly dance group, Belly Dance Academy, and I called Sidonia up and she said, come on in. And this is in 2004. So I went into my first dance class with my cocky attitude, like I knew everything about everything, and left the class crying. I sat in my car and I bawled because all of the dance that I had done up to this point had been an external movement, arms, full, movements of the torso, legs. Sure. And that was it. And belly dance, we're talking like internal movements inside your torso, isolating muscles that I've never isolated before. And I didn't know how to do that. And I failed so bad in my mind, I failed so bad at that first class. I was just like, what has happened to me? How can I be so bad at this? And it took me a while to get to the point where I enjoyed it. I had to get past that mental block of I'm a good dancer and I'm not good at this, and that's making me mad, and kind of push past that to the I'm learning a new skill, and this actually is a hard art form. And I think that's really where I had to get to is belly dance is not what people think it is based off of movies and music videos and what you think belly dancers are. And it's very much a highly disciplined art form. And the dancers who do it and do it well are amazing. They have amazing control of the muscles in their body. So now I love it. I've been dancing ever since then. So 2004 to now. Throughout the years, I've taught, I've taken breaks, gone back to teaching. I've always danced, though, and done a couple different styles of belly dance, because I think that's important for people to know that it's not just belly dance. There's all these different sectors. Like you have cabaret, which is like Egyptian or Turkish style cabaret versus the folkloric versus like ATS, which is American tribal style, versus fusion, which is just, taking movement in general and creating dance that feels a certain way or emotes a certain way without the silos of having to stay within the realms of a specific style. So I've done a lot of different styles. I started with more of the Egyptian cabaret style, messed around with folkloric a little bit, went to the Czech Republic and studied with a couple teachers for Ruska Roma, which is Russian Romani, which around here people say gypsy. It's a horrible term. Don't use it. But that style with a lot of skirt, which is actually more of the Russian influence than the Roma influence. And then lately I've been doing a style called Divine Chaos, which is a skirt technique, but it's an improv group dance. So you have a leader who does a move, and that move tells the rest of the group what move sequence is coming next. So you're building your dance as you dance it, even on stage, which is a lot of fun. You have to be a little bit more in your head for it, but the challenge is fun.
Nice. Wow, that's beautiful, especially the sequence that you got to be in your head, but you got to listen too. There's listening there and listening to your body and the movements and that internal dialogue that has to happen musically and movement wise, and just with each beat and movement. Now it makes me think too of that. How should I say? How you're describing the difference between the belly dance and then the ballet, which is very, moving on the torso and kind of extending your arms, whereas this is bringing it internally. So there's a something that you can't see, but yet is expressed through those micro movements, it sounds like. And so it's a little bit more
You can still see it, but the way that your body moves is so different. It's still, I will show you. Yes. So for example, in ballet, it's very big, like, grandiose and grand and up and down. And in belly dance, it's like a shoulder roll, which you can still see, but it's internal. If I let that roll down my body and then back up and then two shoulders and a chest circle, like that's all super internal.
Yeah.
And hard muscles to isolate because we're not used to isolating them. We're used to having them all just kind of be torso and that's it. And so I can move my arms like the best of them. I can kick my leg pretty high, but isolating my chest so I could do like a diaphragm pop or a slide and not have everything else smooth.
Wow.
When I first started, was just like, what is this magic that you're doing? Because I can't do that.
Wow. That's fantastic. And that was beautiful movement too. You can clearly see you've got that muscle memory and those very, core movements there in your shoulders.
No, I just started teaching one of my favorite classes to teach, which I used to teach years ago for like 6 years. It's a fundamentals class, and it's kind of an exercise class for building that sort of strength and flexibility and isolation to do those moves. And we just started this Tuesday. It was my first class bringing that back, and it felt so good to do it again. And I think it's my favorite class to teach, actually, more than choreography or any of that.
That's wonderful. That is wonderful. So I'm just going to add another layer of what already so many amazing things you do. So speech therapy, dance, theater, film, and we're going to get in film a little bit later because I need to gush about a little bit. That's sleeping. And then, but right now I want to talk a little, or have you kind of talk about the veterans sort of angle that you want to kind of dive into in terms of podcasting or capturing their stories. Can you share a little bit about that and what sparked that interest?
So as a speech language pathologist, I have worked with adults more than kids. It's so funny because people assume when I say that I'm an SLP that I am a speech therapist that works in the schools, which is not the case. I'm a medical SLP.
Yes.
And I worked at the veterans home for a while, a couple of years ago, and I fell in love with the veterans there so much. They were just the nicest guys. And it was so funny because they have this, not all of them, but some of them have this super gruff exterior with the big beard and the leather jacket. And they're in the wheelchair and they're grumpy about the fact that they're in a wheelchair. And, they go out and they smoke 20 times a day. And people there would be afraid of them. In the therapy gym, I can't count the number of times that a therapist would come in and be like, oh, I can't get Mr. Smith to do anything for me. He's just a grumpy old guy. And those were always my favorite. When I would go into their room, I don't know if maybe I'm like an internally grumpy old man or something, but I connected with those guys instantly. And they were always my best friends. And they would tell me stories about being in the war and life when they were young. And I just thought, one of the things about working in a nursing home is, unfortunately, you have a lot of people that you get to meet and really start to care for pass away. Mm-hmm. And so I kept seeing all these wonderful guys that I would meet and get to know pass away without their stories being told to anyone other than in their families.
Yes.
And it's almost, it just feels like such an abrupt ending for these amazing stories. And so I had the idea of, and I'm so sad I haven't done it yet because it's been kind of on my radar, on my mind for a really long time, to either do a podcast or like a documentary, a video documentary, where people that are veterans, and they can be any age, they can be World War II, they can be just got back from Iraq yesterday, whatever. to have them come in and tell their stories, tell the funny times that they had with their colleagues, or the sad things that they had to deal with, or the stressful times coming home, whatever it is. And then if it was a podcast, have it be a series that continued, so more and more people could sign up, like their families maybe could sign them up. If they're older, if they're younger, they can sign up on their own. And if it was a documentary movie, I was thinking of doing a call to artists at the end and saying, this is my tiny part of the world here in Boise, Idaho, but there's so many veterans all over the world whose stories need to be told. So, to try to create a community of filmmakers all making a documentary about the vets in their community, and then like having a website where they could all be interrelated and all part of one big picture. Mm-hmm. But then I get overwhelmed just thinking about it sometimes, and I'm like, I can't add that onto my list of things to do. But I do think it'd be cool. I did have one client tell me that there is an app. I don't think I have it on my phone anymore. I downloaded it, that allows people to tell stories. Okay. And I wish I could remember what it was. And they could be stories about anything, but a lot of veterans and the older generation, their children were having them do that so that they preserved their stories. Oh. But I just feel like it's such a disservice to the world to have some of those stories just fade away. One of my clients, this isn't a war story, but he was a vet. He was in the veterans home. His family was the first family to get indoor plumbing in New Meadows, which is where he grew up. This is when he was a kid. And so the guy that was coming to install their indoor plumbing showed up, and he's like, well, okay, where do you want the toilet and the shower? And they didn't know because no one had an indoor bathroom at that point. Like, well, where do you put a toilet and a shower inside the house? So they just shrugged and they said, I guess in the kitchen. So their first house with indoor plumbing in New Meadows had their toilet and their shower installed in the kitchen. There's stories like that I'm just like, that's interesting to think about, because we don't think about that sort of thing nowadays.
For sure. We usually don't realize just what is at our fingertips until we don't have it, or an epidemic comes and we learn different ways of being.
Yeah.
But if you do end up pursuing, exploring and brainstorming more on that veterans part of it, just know that there are people out there, and I'm sure you have already people you're talking to, but I want to throw myself in there to help support you in any way that you need with that. That's either on the podcasting side, the film side, if documentary, that's totally up my alley. The great thing with that is we can, Katie, I'm going to name drop here, Katie President. And, the editing aspect, I mean, there's options there. And I do know editing, and I do that. But, Katie definitely has more knowledge in that. But just getting it started, at least. Right. If you started with just one and see how it goes, but just know that, hey, I'm just throwing it out there. If you are looking for someone to kind of get on board with you, just know I'm a big fan, so I'm here to help. If
I actually, due to an interaction with a friend of mine just recently, talking about film projects, because we both are constantly thinking about film projects all the time. Before that dream happens, we've been in the talks of doing a series on YouTube of smaller nonprofits that are doing good around the communities, because everyone knows the Humane Society and everyone knows like Interfaith Sanctuary and all those big ones that the food bank. Mm-hmm. They get a lot of money and a lot of support, but there's so many tiny nonprofits that are just working under the radar, and people are spending their own money and, of course, their time working on these things. So what we're currently in the works with is highlighting some of these smaller places with the hope that it might help people know that, oh my gosh, that's a place I'd be interested in volunteering. I didn't know they exist. I need to contact them, or I'm interested in donating to that. I didn't know that they existed. Here, take my money to help these smaller nonprofits out. So kind of, I don't want to say it's along the same lines because it's not, I guess the only way that it really is in the same vein is that neither one is a narrative.
Right.
Yeah. But I'm more interested in documentaries in real life anyway when it comes to my filmmaking. So I think it's just kind of the path that I choose.
I hear you on that. So, I'm just like I said, I'm just going to repeat. I'm a big fan. So whatever project you're on, if you need additional bodies, just know I'll be rooting for you regardless. Positive vibes all the way, putting it out there. You got this. You can do this. And all of us people that are out there are here for you. So,
thank you so much. And now that you put that out there, I will be calling you because we could use all the help we can get.
Yes, absolutely. I'm there for you. So you just let me know and I'll be there.
All right.
You got it on tape. So.
So now you have to. You can't back out.
Oh, and we don't even need that, but just for that security too, just in case, like it's important for people to show up. And, I've had, I've just with Love There, That Sleeping, it kind of segues nicely with gushing about that with you, just showing up for that. Like that was a big deal for me that, my experience prior in several things, you put it out there, you schedule, and then, something comes up at the last minute. So you're always anticipating that in that type of thing, or things just don't work out. But I was just so excited that you came on board, and I just was so in love with what, especially first day of filming between you and Joan, the character Joan, and your character. It just was so moving to me, your reaction. And when she came towards you at the door and she shoved you aside so she could leave.
Ellen, I was not expecting that.
And I love that. I love that both of you just made choices, and I kind of left it out in the open for that uncomfortability to be there of not sure what to do, and challenge, sort of challenge you guys that like that, and make your own choices and trust that. And we can always play around with it,
Right.
But the choices you made were just, fantastic. And I think that always remained with me, those scenes there. And I often go back and watch it because I draw from that character. What you brought to that moment makes me think of other stories. And so it inspires other stories. But then it's like, I need Erin to come back and play these characters because there's just depth there. And I want to explore that more.
Oh, no, I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. I'm so very thankful that you asked me to be a part of that project. And I, more than anything, I just wanted to make you proud of the fact that you asked me. My biggest fear is having somebody ask me to be a part of a project and then halfway through going, oh man, I should have asked someone else. Like I stay up and fret about that sort of thing. So,
I understand. Yeah.
I just really, really wanted you to be like, yes, I made the right choice.
Yeah, absolutely. And I knew it just was just the moment when you said yes. I'm like, yeah, okay, this is perfect. Like I was so excited. I'm sitting here thinking about it. I'm thinking about the scenes. I'm thinking about, running it all through my head. And those are the sort of things I think about during the day. And then like I'm talking it out loud. So here's, you walk by, there's this weird person, like, what is she doing? Is she special? But I'm literally, picturing out and like thinking out loud, if you will, of how I want everything to be. And I can't help it when it just downloads sometimes. And I'm just in the and then I'll write it down or I'll file it and then it just I loved it. And I really loved at the hospital scene too. And when I was editing with Katie, it was such a wonderful experience. I loved doing that process with her and going back with the audio and listening. And it was great moments to think back of some good times. But your expression when Joan turned toward you, when she comes in and she's like, wait, that's my man, not yours. And then you turn around after, you go and put something on the tray and you turn around like, you're this shit. Like, who do you think you are? Some wife? Like, I've got your man in the bag. It was just the best thing. Because it wasn't that cliche type of look, right? Or response. Uh-huh. It was a confident, like, I'm not even going to apologize because your man's stepping out. That's on you or him or whatever. You know what I mean? And so...
Right. Don't be mad at me. Be mad at him.
Yeah. Don't be mad at me. Be mad at him. He's the one who's like, yeah, in the whitewater rafting and yippee-ki-yay, and I fell, and now I'm here, and I'm going to take you out.
I needed someone to strap me in.
Exactly. Oh my gosh.
That day actually was my favorite day of filming when we filmed the scene in the hospital with Jason, and I was doing all of my checks, and Ellen came in. That day was so much fun. I just really, yeah.
I'm so
when I watched it when we had our big party,
yeah,
we watched it all together. I was so excited to see how that scene in particular ended up because I just left that day going, man, yeah, that was so much fun.
Oh, good. Oh, I'm so glad because when I went back and looked at had to listen to the audio to put all of that together. I just was laughing. I was laughing just because of all the conversations going on. And I think that's what I love most doing, especially the behind the scenes, the directing, the setting up, is I'm not only witnessing the scene come alive and the characters coming together and coming to life in a moment. I'm seeing the interaction before that. And I'm witnessing these people come together and I'm witnessing this energy. And all of that is just so satisfying because it's like I'm there, but I'm not there because I have to organize and do that technical aspect of it.
Right.
But yeah, I'm witnessing creativity. And I so enjoy witnessing that part of it. So it was a joy for me too. When I left there too, I was also feeling the same, like, wow, like I cannot believe, like I was just in awe of you guys showing up, and that still remains with me to this day,
Well, and you picked some amazing actors, myself aside. Ellen, I've had a chance to work with on a lot of different films, and I just adore her so much. I feel like she's able to take emotions to a depth that a lot of actors just can't get deep enough into. Yes. And I appreciate that so much in her acting and really look up to her on that. And then Jason, I've seen act around town a little bit on stage, and I had never seen him in a film, and I'd never worked with him before. Mm-hmm. And when I found out that he was going to be a part of this film project, I was super excited to just have a chance to get to know him as a person and see what it's like to work with him.
Yeah.
So, when you told me who the cast was, I was just like, wow, yeah, I want to be a part of this.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad that it all just came together. And you're right about Ellen in that way. She really did. The car ride back to her, going to claim Corey's body, where she was able to go. I mean, we set up the scene. It's interesting because we see just that part, but I remember I'm there on the side by her, and I'm for like an hour's worth of filming, I'm like, just kind of jerked off to the side trying to get a good angle. Uh-huh. And then we got Bill in the back, and we we have all the back stuffed with all of our belongings, and I'm trying to get this tight shot of her. And then she's got the two songs going that she needs in order to get to the place where she needs to go. And then I'm watching her, and it's making me emotional, and I'm starting to like bawl. And then I'm like, are you okay? And I'm checking in on her, as we're going. And then Bill's just in the back, like, oh, what's, doing his thing. It's just so funny how it all was, how that behind the camera was happening. Right. And then what the end result was once we put the music to it, and the edit. And that's where, Katie was really brilliant in the editing aspect. It just fell together in beat with the song. And it's just, I love how that, sort of happens.
Yeah. Yeah. I know the part you're talking about because that really stood out when I watched it.
Yeah. And then it's just amazing. And this part amazes me about the film too. Like when she's leaning back in those moments after she comes out of a thought, and it's not it's disconnected. Like they're filmed separately, but then when you put them together, they belong together. It's so interesting how it just works out. She's just thought about like in the pool, doing it with the other man. And then she's throwing herself up against the seat. Like, why did I do that? And it's just movements. She didn't even know that she was hitting all the marks.
Oh, perfect. It was absolutely perfect.
Yeah. So good times, man. Good times. I can't wait. Yeah. I can't wait to share the next one, and hopefully you'll find it worth your time.
I already do.
And then, so with, kind of the journeys to you getting your theater degree and your kind of going in the dance realm and the different sort of versions of dance that you did, all the obstacles that kind of were up and down, what's the biggest one, that sort of obstacle challenge that really stands out to you in your journey, in life and growth, and what things did you do to sort of be able to overcome it and come out on the other side?
Oh, I think that's an amazing question. I've been pretty lucky to not have a whole lot of challenges in my life, like external challenges. I had a pretty happy home life with my parents. Things there were really good, but for some reason, and I don't know why, my whole life I was super shy and had this crippling self-doubt. Like, I think I was born with imposter syndrome, and I don't know why that would exist, but I have always had this feeling like I don't add value to anywhere that I'm at, that people deal with me instead of enjoy my company, and that I have nothing to offer that other people don't already have in spades. Mm-hmm. And so for the longest time, I felt very worthless as a human being, just like as a friend or as a person just living, I guess. I don't know, it's weird to say, but I was so afraid of failure and felt like I wasn't good. And like I said, didn't have anything to contribute, that I did tech theater for the longest time when I started doing theater, because I wanted to be involved more than anything. I loved theater so much. My parents would take us to shows, and then afterwards, when we'd come home, I'd go take a bath and just like revel in the feelings that I had. And sometimes I'd cry. Like, I remember going to San Francisco and seeing Phantom of the Opera, and just coming back to the hotel room and crying in the bathtub because it was so beautiful and I wanted to be a part of that so bad. Yeah. But I just knew in my brain that if I stepped on that stage, that every single person in the audience would be going, she doesn't deserve that. I can think of a million people that are more talented, more beautiful, more eloquent than she is. She doesn't deserve to be up there. So I did tech theater through high school. And then I actually graduated with my degree in theatrical lighting.
Wow.
So I have a theater degree, but it's a lighting degree because I felt like that was my one way to get to be a part of it without basically being told how much I suck. But would I say that my passion is in lighting? I won some awards. I'm good at it. I actually won a few awards in college for my lighting designs, but I wanted to be on stage more than anything. And fortunately, I had to be in a show in order to get my theater degree because every actor had to take a tech class and every techie had to take an acting class. And then we all, they had to tech a show and we had to be in a show at some point in order to get our degree. And so, like I said, I auditioned for West Side Story and I was terrified. It was my very first audition ever. My dance is the only reason I got into the show. I can tell you that right now because I went in. I'm trying to remember what I sang. And I have a decent singing voice. Back then I had a decent singing voice too. But I got in front of all of those people and I felt judgment just radiating from me and my throat closed up. And I think I was singing something from Jekyll and Hyde. And I couldn't hit the tone at all because my throat was so closed that what was coming out wasn't what normally came out when I, did whatever I was doing with my vocal cords.
Right.
And so, I remember halfway through just shrugging my shoulders while I was singing because I was like, I don't know what's going on. This is so bad. And I guess the musical director was adamant that I was not going to be in West Side Story, but the choreographer was like, yeah, she is going to be in West Side Story. And so I'm really glad that she went to bat for me. And that my dance background kind of pulled me through because that was the first time I got to be on stage and I had a dance solo. And I'd been on stage for dance recitals and stuff. So that was different though. I never done a solo up to that point. And dancing to me, I go somewhere else. I'm not me when I dance. I'm literally not in my body anymore. I'm somewhere else. So it's different than having to have words and act, I guess. But that helped me get up the nerve when I moved down here to Boise to audition for a couple shows. And I've been in some shows at Boise Little Theater and Stagecoach Theater. Went out at Can Act. I started Daisy's Madhouse, which is a local theater company with a couple friends of mine back in 2008, and had the opportunity to do quite a few shows through Daisy. So that's really cool. And I finally got past that weird throat thing. So I was able to sing on stage. And so going back to the question, it was years and years and years of me working and making these tiny, tiny little steps to realize that, number one, I'm a worthwhile human being and I deserve my place on this earth.
Yes.
Number two, that I actually do have things that make me a good friend and that people like me not only for the things I can do for them, but because I'm an okay person and that I have talent and that I've worked really hard on a lot of my artistic ventures and that has gotten me to a level where I can share myself on stage with other people. But we're talking childhood up till probably 32. To finally get to the point where I'm like, you know what? I'm okay.
Nice. Right. Fantastic. I love hearing that. And 30s, from just what I understand in a lot of stories hearing from women is a really poignant sort of decade for us when our voices start coming. Literally where we begin to really see ourselves and begin that acceptance and hit that. And I'm in my 40s now, and I feel it even more than I did in my 30s, and in just a different way. And it's just beautiful to hear, how those little steps lead, and that it's not just this one big thing, or, how it's very that cinematic, those movies that have to occur like in an hour and a half, and they tell the story, her, and one day she just realizes, and then there's all these shots of, the computer, and then the writing, and then, I've had a realization. I'm an amazing
self-discovery montage.
Right. And then right into the distance with your man, because in the end, that's what it is, right? When it's really her self-discovery that it's kind of separate from a relationship, but, there's that need to have a partner, I guess, and but it's so beautiful to hear, especially the throat, how you're able to overcome that, because voice is the huge part.
Well, and I feel like that's probably a huge reason why I went into speech therapy. After I graduated with my theater degree, and then panicked and didn't know what I was going to do with my life at that point, because I had a theater degree in lighting, and I didn't want to be a lighting designer. I was good at it, but it wasn't something I wanted to make a career. I think I was more interested in keeping it as a hobby. So I had to find something to do instead. And my acting teacher, my first acting teacher, Michael Smith, his father was a speech therapist. And so in our acting class, he would bring up things that his dad would do all the time, because they're very interconnected.
Yes.
There's a thing called corporate SLPs, people who work with professionals on orating, on giving public speeches, on making sure that they're not having vocal abuse when they have to talk in a loud environment, or if they have to talk all day. Prosody, which is the way that you say something. It's like the intonation and the inflection. And so I thought, well, those two things really go hand in hand. I think I could do this. So that's how I ended up getting into grad school to be an SLP. But I think my throat closing up was definitely one of those things that I was like, I want to understand this, because I don't ever want it to happen again.
Yes.
It was horrible.
I imagine. But just your voice and your presence and energy is so well grounded.
Thank you.
Of your work, you can see it just being around you. So it's beautiful.
Thank you very much.
And then, so with sort of the obstacles, I kind of want to talk a little bit about the female aspect of working in all of these sort of industries, or just female experience journey in general. Can you talk a little bit about how that experience from a female perspective, both in theater, film, just hitting on all the marks, the speech therapy, just profession in general, compared to, some of your peers, particularly male colleagues?
Right. Yeah, that's something that has come up a lot, especially in tech theater. So I'm going to start there. In high school, I was hired on by the King Fine Arts Center, which is $1 million theater that was attached to my high school. Oh, wow. And the whole valley, well, Mr. King, who was a very rich man down in the Burley area, put $1 million into it so that we could have this beautiful fine arts center for Cassia County. And they had to have some people run it. My tech theater instructor, Steve Floyd, was in charge of making sure that there were some techies that worked there for when people would tour and come in, or local people if they wanted to do a show. We had some people who could run the lights, run the sound, run the curtain, stage manage, all those things. And So I was one of those, and I loved it, except for there was a group. I'm going to call them out. They're probably going to hate this if they ever hear it. The Mount Harrison Foundation down there, and they were mostly men. And they would bring shows. The nice thing that they would do is they would bring touring shows down to the King Fine Arts Center so that we had the opportunity to see these amazing touring acts. Right. But they had their own group of men who all would do technical positions too. So we had these high school students that worked for the theater, and then these older men that would come in from the foundation, both working tech. Mm-hmm. And I felt like they were on my home turf, because it was my job. I worked there all the time. Yes. And they saw me as a little high school girl. And so it caused some huge issues because they felt like, I can't have this high school girl telling me what to do. Mm-hmm. And I'm going, it's my job to tell you what to do. Yeah. And that's what I have to do. You're one of my techies. Yeah. So that was probably my first foray in having to figure out how, as a woman, to talk to men in what's considered traditionally a men's world. Mm-hmm. Which was a bit of a challenge, especially in Burley, which is a very LDS community. Men rule down there, and women follow. And being a strong young woman, yes, at that time, it was seen as a threat to a lot of those men, and it was difficult. It was hard to work with them. I never looked forward to those shows because I always knew that there were going to be issues. Mm-hmm. In college, it got a little different. It's the same issue, but slightly different because, once again, I was in tech theater. I was a lighting design major. I was the only female lighting design major. And I had a friend who was also a lighting major, but she graduated a year before me. So she was like one class up. And then me, and the whole class below me was all men. So that got hard when I took the job as the master electrician at the theater, and I had to run all crews. So anytime we would have to do a lighting setup, I was in charge, and everyone had to listen to me. And all of these guys that were tech theater majors, but set or lighting but male, would push me so hard when I would try to direct my crew. Wow. And I saw the way that they would work when I was on crew for other shows. The exact same people would not kind of poke at the male master electrician, but they would not listen to what I said. They would do their own thing. They would try. This was the big one. They would try to direct the crew themselves. Wow. And it was really hard to keep these guys where they needed to be. And in theater, in an actual theater, like not community theater, policies and procedures are really important. And you have a hierarchy of each position, and it's really important that each person only do what's within, their positions, their titles. Right. I want to say scope of practice because now I work in healthcare. In their scope of practice, right? But so it was very frustrating to have to fight that in addition to going to school and working as the master electrician and working at the fruit stand and trying to have a social life. It's just one of those fights that you feel like, well, why do I have to do this? I know my stuff. I got this job because I know what I'm talking about, and yet I'm being questioned left and right. So I think I probably swung a little bit far the other direction and became very hardened. I guess when it comes to having to stand up and say, I am in control. You are all listening to me. This is the way it's going to be. And I don't like being that way. It's really not my natural state. But I had to in order to get the job done.
Right.
And so it took, I don't even want to say it took, it's been taking years to try to find that middle ground. And I have to admit that lately things have gotten so much better because women's voices are being heard more. And there are more women in the tech industries, and there are more women who are having leadership roles. And I can tell, I can see night and day difference when I talk to men on a crew now versus when I talked to a crew of men then. I do feel like we still have a ways to go, but it makes me feel really good about the direction that we're going in, just knowing that I can come and I can talk to people and they don't even question me. They know that I know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
They come to me for questions instead of the guy who is a first year, but he's a guy. So they go to him. You know what I mean?
I do. Yes. Because it makes me think, actually the nursing part, what you're saying, in the nursing profession, I read several articles talking about there is more of a male presence, which is good because it was always a female sort of dominated profession. But the downside with it is the male are coming in to be the nurses and they're being promoted at a faster rate than the women. So it's leading into that, the women have been there, especially the ones that have been there for years, should be offered that opportunity before men. But it is so ingrained in our DNA. I think of it that it's down to the bone marrow. It has to be extracted and replenished. Just the belief and idea that men somehow are better leaders or just know better. Wherever that seed of thinking began, and I am very curious about it. I want to know, where did it spark and what sparked it? Did they not get enough attention from their mom? When they were born, were they not breastfed? Like, what happened? It's like the only thing I can kind of go to. I'm sure that's something else, a feeling of power. Where did that generate? Because even sin originated in men, not women. I'm sorry, I'm going to put that out there. You know what I mean?
I've often wondered, and I have nothing to back this up. I haven't done any research on it, but I've often wondered if it is a side effect of the fact that women bring life.
Yes.
Women, that's such a power in and of itself. And I can see how if somebody wasn't able to do that and they're watching these people have this power, go, well, I want some power too, and I can't have that power, so I'm going to try to get my power elsewhere.
Let's put
whether or not that's true, I don't know.
I agree with you. I think there's something there that should be explored even more, because when I came to the realization that particular aspect of a woman, it was also, again, reading an article from a feminist philosopher, a Romanian feminist philosopher, and she talked about she put out the question in the article, what's the one thing that women do that is a godlike sort of process? And that's make babies and have them, be able to create life and give birth to it. And that was like, just opened my mind. And I thought, wow, that I would imagine would be a very hard thing not to be able to get to do, which is funny, because if they would feel the pain, they wouldn't be able to even handle it, because a kidney stone is very, very, very painful from what I understand, but it is a difficult process. And then, the care for the child falls on the female. So it's just so funny how that all turned, I agree with your assertion there. And I think it should be spoken about more and explored more in that.
I do feel like we're on a good path, though. I mean, it ebbs and flows, of course, but I feel like it's being discussed more, and that's number one. Just acknowledging that it's an issue, just right along with Black Lives Matter and acknowledging the fact that people of color have had to fight an uphill battle that I know nothing about because I haven't learned. I want to be an advocate for it, but in order for me to be an advocate for it, we need to talk about it.
Yes.
And so the more we talk about these things, I think the more it opens up our minds to possibilities and understanding and being able to make the changes that need to happen.
I agree with you, especially on the Black Lives Matter part of it, because I strongly feel that it's connected to women's issues, LGBTQI, gender, how one identifies gender-wise, all of that are human rights issues. And one is impacted, it impacts everybody else. And when I was teaching in Twin Falls, especially, I would tell my students, pay attention to what's going on, particularly in the women's, because at the time it was more women's than it began being, it was always there. Black Lives Matter was always there. Right. It became more of a forefront as the years went on. Initially, when I was teaching there was a lot of women issues coming to forefront. And I would tell the students, pay attention to those because that's going to impact Black lives. If Black lives are impacted, then anything taken away from either side is not a good thing. And so we have to come together and support, each group, support each other. And particularly in the white feminists, I didn't fully understand, but I'm learning more of how even the suffrage movement excluded the Black women. And we need
Which is heartbreaking because you think, why? To me, it's just why would you exclude your sisters in a movement that helps us all? But I know it's a different time.
Yeah. But I feel it still pops up depending on where it's at. I read a lot of articles and stories and that sort of thing. And I have read accounts of, Black women that have been brought on to women's organizations that they end up finding out is just for numbers or show, that ultimately there was a toxic, back to that suffrage, white feminism, white women still see themselves, depending on the group, above Black women. And it's great points have been made that I've seen on Facebook or TikTok, that where humanity originated, it originated from Black women. I mean, we weren't white. It wasn't white people that were born. They were colored. So to assume that we have any type of, something special about us is, I mean, if anything, it's learning where where everything originated, honor it, and then how can we come together,
Exactly. Yeah. Not letting that ignorance persevere, because I feel like growing up in Burley, my learning, especially about history, was severely skewed. Yeah. And it's highly embarrassing to realize that when you get older and realize that the history and the historical representation of things that happened and the people that existed is not accurate. And, it's highly romanticized in the wrong direction.
Yes.
And, just the fact that all that education was a lie, it was a hard thing for me to learn, because I was a straight A student growing up and I took school very seriously. Yes. And so it hit hard, kind of like when they were like, oh, wait, Pluto is not a planet. It was like, what? Yes. I learned that it was.
Right. Someone told, and I remember they showed me it was in space. So now it's gone. Who ate it?
Yeah. What's going on?
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Exactly. Well, kind of segues into the next question of mentoring. So how would you mentor in today, a young female or, a woman sort of seeking mentorship, and how to, strengthen herself as a woman and be able to navigate, especially those parts like you beautifully described, where it's more male dominated, because there are a ton of professions that are still out there. like the science and, tech, just the tech, computer tech and that sort of thing. Just from your perspective, what is some advice that you would give a young girl or woman in navigating through those challenges?
Well, I think first off, I really wish that I had somebody, especially me, if I could have gone back in time to my young self and just said, trust yourself, trust your judgments, trust your knowledge. The same, if not more, as these men. You are passionate. You trust yourself and be strong and convicted in the fact that you have the same skills. There's nothing that they have that you don't have. It would have helped me so much if I had one person say, you are doing something hard because you are the only woman in this man-dominated field. That's hard.
Yeah.
But you know what you know, and you are strong, and you can do it. Because I had so much self-doubt the whole time. I can't count the number of interactions I had with people where I let someone just tread all over me because they didn't know more than I did, but I assumed that they knew more than I did. And so I cowed, and I was like, oh, okay. And that didn't help me. It didn't help me in my job. It didn't help me feel good about myself. So emotionally, it didn't help me mentally. In fact, it kind of stunted all of those areas. And so I feel like it's really, really important for women that have kind of been there to be advocates for the younger generation and to be available to talk to and be cheerleaders and say, you know what, you can do hard things. You are so brilliant and amazing and talented and smart. You've got this. I'm here for you. I feel like women in general, and this isn't everybody, but it seems like we have been taught throughout life to have to be strong on our own.
Yes.
I can handle being a mother and a provider for my family and also cook the house and also cook and also be, all these other things outside of the home and outside of the job. And it's almost seen as a weakness or something to look down upon if we say verbally, I need help. I'm not able to do all of this, or I'm struggling. I need someone to tell me, keep going. And so the more we can foster that as women for each other, I think that only creates more good.
For sure. Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful, Erin. I love what you just said. And I feel like you gave me, and I'm sure everyone who's going to listen to this as well, that just feels like you're encouraging me. Like I'm feeling encouraged. I'm like, heck yeah, I can do this. That's it. I'm getting this. What can I call this podcast? Bring them all in.
Do the hard things, Corina.
Yes. That's awesome.
Got this.
I love it. Oh, I love it. So, and I want to sort of take that strength that you're talking about it and segue into relationships a little bit, because those are, especially as women, sort of navigating and finding a good partner, right, in life. And you have an amazing partner in your husband. Can you? Yes. Can you share your journey in, sort of how you navigated all the relationships to arrive at Corey? And then how did you know that Corey was that partner that you're like, yep, this is the dude. He's the lucky one.
Well, funny you say Corey, because Corey's my brother.
Oh my gosh, I am so sorry. Please forgive me. You know what? And I'm also Corey. I don't even have Troy. I haven't written down Troy, but you know why? Because Corey there that's sleeping is still.
Okay. Well, I did have a torrid affair with Corey during Love That They're Sleeping.
I'm trying to bring you back in. I'm sorry. And in the question, it is written Troy. And I apologize. Troy, forgive me. I said Corey, I meant Troy.
But my brother's name is Corey, so it actually, I do love him madly as well. But no, Troy's amazing, and it took me a long time to find him because I didn't know what I needed or what worked with me for the longest time, and so I was drawn to guys that had like a bravado, like this, just walk into a room and everyone would be like, oh, and then honestly, it depended on the guy. Some of them were amazing guys, but just really horrible in relationships because they cared so much about making everyone in the room happy that they would ignore the person they were in a relationship with.
Yes.
And other times that bravado also meant that they were very unpredictable emotionally, which is in and of itself a big issue. And so when I met Troy, I was just out of a really messy divorce, and I was not looking for a relationship. The last thing I wanted when I met him was actually a relationship. And it's funny, we met at a friend's barbecue. I had just sung in a band at the Riverside Hotel, and they kept giving us champagne for free because we were performing. And so I get really chatty when I drink champagne. There's something about that just makes me like, wow. And so I went to this barbecue that a friend of mine had been putting on after we performed. And I promise I wasn't driving drunk. I'd only had like 2 glasses, but still made me really chatty. And so I got to this barbecue, and my friend introduced me to this guy. And me being chatty through champagne and also not interested in like what a guy thinks of me at this point because I'm not wanting a relationship. I'm like, hello, random dude. Let me tell you about my ex-husband and all of the horrible things that happened.
Oh, wow.
And the poor guy was Troy. And he listened to me for about 45 minutes. And then my band members texted me and they were like, we're all downtown drinking. Where are you? And I was like, oh, I need to go downtown. So then I just threw all this like relationship crap up all over Troy. And then I was like, I got to go. Bye. And so he followed me into the house and he's like, can I get your number? And I turned around and went, really? Because I'm thinking like, I like you. I mean, you're a cool guy, but I'm not looking for a relationship. And I just literally gave you all this baggage that like, you don't want to deal with. You don't want this baggage. But I liked him. So I gave him my phone number and we ended up going on a second date. I think probably like a week and a half later. And, really connected because he had been taking lessons to fly helicopters and I had been taking lessons to fly fixed wing airplanes. And so, we talked about that. And, we're both Idaho natives. I'm from Burley. He's from Caldwell. And so I was talking about what it's like growing up in small town Idaho. And, that went really well. And then our third date, the first one where he picked me up, my ex-husband showed up at the exact same time.
Oh, my gosh.
So they got to have an interaction.
Wow.
In which case, Troy was my white knight.
Oh.
Because Alfonso at this point, it had gotten to a scary point where he had broken into my house. We had kind of a standoff that lasted all night. When he did that, he threatened to kill me, threatened to kill my dog. He threatened to kill himself, threatened to kill all of us. And I couldn't get the police to help. And it was a horrible ordeal, not ideal. And So he just randomly showed up, and it was the first time I had seen him since the night he broke in.
Yeah.
And it was months later.
Mm.
And Troy handled it so well. He was like, I don't think she wants to talk to you. If you want to talk to her, you should get a lawyer. But I'm taking her out on a date. I got his truck and we drove off, and Alfonso was just standing in front of my house, and I was shaking.
I bet.
But I feel like that interaction right there was really, for me, the shift where it went from I'm enjoying hanging out with this guy, but I still want to be single, to wow, he was there for me. And on a third date, like, I would not have judged him at all if he had been like, I'm not dealing with this. This is way too heavy for me. See ya.
Yes.
But he helped me out, and he was so gentlemanly in the way that he did it. And that was sexy.
Oh,
not really sexy. So, yeah. And I mean, because I was so recently in a bad marriage, he was really patient with me for years while I worked through my emotions about the whole thing, and being comfortable with another person sharing a life with me. All these things would just come up, and I'd be like, no, like, this is scary. I feel like things are going too fast in the direction that I just come from.
Right.
And the whole time he just was super supportive, and, hey, you know what? That's cool. I'll step back. Let's take it slow. And that stability and support was what I never had in my other relationships, and obviously why they didn't work. So I'm just so very thankful for it. He's super supportive of all the art stuff that I do. It's hard, especially in theater, as you know, because our rehearsal process is usually 4 weeks at the minimum.
Yes.
Up to 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
It takes so much time. And I've been in so many relationships where that's caused fight after fight after fight of, you're always at the theater and you don't care about me. And, and Troy's like, you're doing what you love, and I support that. Go do it. So I don't know how I got so lucky. I'll take it.
Well, good humans attract good humans, so it makes sense.
I like that. I'll take that.
Awesome. That's wonderful. Thank you so much for, being open to sort of sharing your experience in how you arrived at knowing Troy was the dude that you're like, yep, I'm going to journey with this man. And I love seeing the pictures that you post of all the different places you go. I just love it. It's like being able to experience it through you, because the farthest I've gone is Romania. How boring. And that sounds, it's really boring, because I go there to a place, to a house, to a family where I'm doing the same thing I'm doing here. Like, it's just so sad. You know
what though? So Corina, given the types of, traditional ethnic dancing that I have studied, I would adore to go to Romania so bad. If you ever want someone to come with you, and someone that you can show around and be like, look at these things that I'm tired of but are probably cool for you.
Oh my gosh,
sign me up, because I want to go so bad.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to hold you to that, because I would love that so much. And my parents have a home, so I can totally just, hit them up and be like, don't be there during these days, because
it would be amazing.
Exactly. Yeah. That's fantastic. I'm going to take you up on that. And
I hope so, because now I'm excited.
Yes, me too. Like, there's so many great places you would love, and especially their dance. I would love to show you. There's one in Electrician that they do every year. In each town, there's like a yearly type of contest and dance. That's just beautiful to watch. And the food and just taking you around. I'll get so much attention because they're going to be like, who's this amazing human? I'll be like, it's Erin. I mean, who else? And I'm like, yeah, come talk to her. Ask her questions. She's
I'm already looking forward to this so much. So I hope it happens.
Yes, we will make it happen.
Okay.
Awesome. So I want to end on a sort of positive question. And just kind of thinking of all your great achievements and accomplishments that you have done, and there are many. Which one stands out to you most? Which one are you most proud and passionate of?
Oh, wow. Ooh. That's a hard one. I was not ready for that question. Just because there's different things that mean different things, I guess. Speaking of the crippling self-doubt that I have had most of my life that I had to get over, in that regard, I would honestly say performing as Elizabeth Bennet in Young Frankenstein, because that's the biggest part I've ever had in theater. And singing solos on a stage by myself where I have to belt and have this huge grandiose note that lasts forever. I mean, that's absolutely terrifying. And the fact that I did it over and over is such an achievement to me, just knowing like, wow, I have come from here to here and I could do that. So that's one, but also like work-wise, my current job, I went into the company that I work for and basically said, here's the things that I can offer you. And I feel like you need to make me a position and you need to pay me this much. And they said, okay. And I was like, whoa, okay.
Yes.
Cool. So I'm very proud of the fact that I didn't let the confines of what like the normal progression of a job is define me and went kind of around it and was like, you need to create this position that doesn't exist. And then gave, I had enough background that of course they were like, oh my gosh, yeah, we want you. We will create whatever. And so that's an achievement also in my work world. And then I'm also a big backcountry backpacker. And that's a very important thing to me as well. And I'm very proud of, I have a huge accomplishment in backpacking across Spain in 2016. I did the Camino de Santiago from Saint-Jean, France to Santiago, Spain in 36 days. And that was the hardest thing at that point, especially that I'd ever done. And I feel like I learned on that journey how much further I can push myself than I've ever allowed myself. You know, like you think you know your limit and you're like, this is my limit and I can't go past this and it's my absolute. But then when you're stuck in a foreign country and you have no car, and I had no cell phone, and so like you have no way out, you just have to keep going. You realize that limit is self-imposed. It's not the actual limit that you have. It's a self-imposed limit that you, like your brain randomly just decided this is hard, so I'm going to put this limit here. And then you push back and it's like, whoa, my limit is so much farther than I ever thought it was. And I feel like there's before the Camino and there's after the Camino for me. There's before the Camino where I did things. I did cool things. It was cool. But then after the Camino, it's like a shift in like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Like these huge goals and these hard things. And instead of seeing hard things as a struggle and something to be avoided, I switched to yes, that's hard, and I'm going to do it. And that's going to be awesome. And so I see that as a huge accomplishment too. So I would say I have to narrow it down to probably those things, because I don't know if I could choose just one out of those three things.
Yes. Well, and a compilation of them all threaded in that sort of strength and endurance and determination brings
True. Yeah.
Sort of that. Well, and I remember when you went on the I'm saying it as if I was right there present with you.
Yeah.
I remember because of your posts on Facebook, and how you posted it, and then I remember having where you talked about it. I was around. We were doing something where you spoke about it, and I remember thinking like, wow, how amazing. And then seeing the pictures about it, like how fantastic. And you could see in the pictures just how important it was and how you were achieving, through each post.
It was a life-changing deal, which is hilarious because I remember reading of people that said that and kind of not really rolling my eyes, because I respect anyone who grows, but just thinking, but is it really?
Right.
And it is. It's not just the Camino though. It's like, it's whatever it is in your life that makes you push past those self-imposed barriers and realizing you are so much stronger than you thought. Like, not this much stronger than you thought, but like leaps and bounds stronger than you thought. Whatever that is for you, I think, I just think that everyone needs one of those experiences in their life so that they can see what it's like to have to push and struggle and persevere and work towards a goal that's big and maybe at times seems unattainable, but you keep pushing. Yes. Because I feel like if everyone had an opportunity to do that, we would all be just better people in general.
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh, I love what you're saying, and I wish the video was working so you could see, like, it's what you're saying is just really landing just beautifully, and it's bringing tears to my eyes because I just love what you're saying. And I have enjoyed this conversation so much. I loved everything you shared because I feel like this is a building block of the community that the goal is of this podcast with Her Salty Words. And I'm so excited for listeners and viewers to see it and hear it, because you give such nuggets that are inspiring and will help them give that, especially those that are looking for that sign, like they're going to experience that sign, like, yes, I need to do this, from hearing your words. And it's just so beautiful. And I'm so appreciative, of you saying yes and taking a moment this evening and being able to discuss all these questions. And it's just really beautiful. So I'm so grateful and thankful to you.
Thank you. And likewise, I like to support people. Anything that I've said reaches out to anyone and, makes them feel better about a situation or inspires them or helps them feel like, yeah, I can do it. That feeds my heart so much. One thing I miss in my new job is I don't get to take students anymore. I used to be a supervisor for students at the ISU speech language pathology program, the grad students.
Yes.
And I'd never realized how much I loved being a mentor.
Yes.
For people until I had these students and I got to share my knowledge and like talk passion, I guess, with someone else that's in the same field, and hopefully set them up for success when they got out of the program and they got to be out in the community, just with all the things that I felt like maybe were lacking in what I got. And so it was like, okay, I didn't feel confident in this, so I'm going to make sure that I give these people this. I really love that. And so if anyone is inspired by anything I said tonight, please contact me and let's talk.
Yes, yes. Now, is it okay in the comment section when I post the YouTube if I put like your information or contact information or
my email? Yeah, my email would be great.
Perfect. I'll put that in there, and then message me if you wouldn't mind anything else you would like me to sort of include on, any other ways that they, people can reach out to you and that sort of thing. I want to include that in there just so that way as many people as possible can reach out and have access to, just your great experience. And
that would be great.
And great words and nuggets of, just inspiration.
Oh, thank you. I wish I could see you.
I know.
I've been staring at a circle that says DM.
I am gonna try something because I wondered, oh man, I moved it a little bit. It's okay. Let me get it back. I'm just gonna try something because I wonder if I have this thing on my computer. Whoops. That my daughter got me, and it's to cover the camera. And the way I placed it on, it covers that green dot. I wonder if that green dot. So I'm taking it off right now.
Okay.
To see if maybe that will bring the picture. Anything? No. No. I wanted it to work so badly. Let's see here. Gosh, I wish that I got.
I will show you what I'm seeing. Let's see if this will work.
Oh my gosh.
But I love you anyway, even though I can't see your face.
Oh, thank you so much. I love you back. Well, at least you'll be able to see my face when it's posted. So if you have a moment to be able to see what an amazing, be able to see it as a viewer, just how amazing this whole podcast has gone. So that way you can see and listen to yourself, because you'll be like, yeah, I'm the shit. Yeah. That's just how
it's like listening to yourself on when you call and you leave a message on a message machine. I don't ever listen to myself talk.
I hear you. I don't like to listen to myself either.
I'm like watching myself act, I really was excited to see your short film.
Yeah.
And excited to see what we made, but I have anxiety anytime it's like my scene, and then I'm just like, it's like my voice.
I hear you there. I know exactly what you mean. I do.
I think that's universal.
Yes, no, I'm with you. It's like I'm sitting here recoiling in myself anytime, I see myself come on or I hear myself and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm recoiling. I'm wanting to go back in my mother's womb to just get away from everything. No, this isn't happening. And I hear you there, but thank you so much, Erin. I appreciate you so much and your time today. And I'm just excited to hopefully, we will connect through, the projects that I want to put forward, but in between that, I hope, we're able to continue connecting and would love to, if quarantine, allows, as we heal as a nation, right? Maybe we could do coffee at some point when it's safe again, or just have that human contact again versus virtual.
Let's do that. I really loved when we, we went to Matador and St. Louis Gridiron.
Yes.
When we were filming, and really, I really enjoyed those times hanging out with you all. So let's definitely do it again as soon as we can.
Yes, I'm with you there. I enjoyed that so much. That was a selfish on my part. I'm like, well, wait a minute. They're out anyway. Why don't I just force everyone to come together and I'll just pay for the meal? It's fine.
Oh my goodness, it was not forced at all.
And then I'm like, so, I budgeted
a nice amount because I'm like, we're going to eat. Like, I knew we were going to be hungry. I'm like, and then we're going to drink because I want this to be a good time.
That's where the money comes in. It's the drinks.
Yes, for sure. And I left very happy. The I-48. I always think of the I-48 when we were done that one year we did it. 2019, was when we did it. And then we, went to, and gosh, Ellen and Bill were gracious and, covered, just treated us and oh man, those margaritas were so good. And oh my gosh, whatever I had, I don't even remember whatever I had. And I just left so happy. I was just so happy. And I'm like, this is great. And then I'm like, and then I pass out. But luckily I set the alarm for 2 hours later because I'm like, 90 minutes is REM. I'm thinking this as I'm like happy and like, this is amazing. And then, and then I can start finishing up the film.
That's so funny.
Like,
yeah, that was fun. I keep meaning to ask you if I can get like a little short clip of the whole montage of me trying to get to where Ellen is.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Because it cracked me up. And so I just think it would make a fun little GIF or GIF, depending on who you were.
Yes.
So if you have a spare second, which I know you're super busy, I just think that would be fun.
Totally, I will. The director's cut will actually have a more elongated version of each of those scenes because I had to cut it down when I originally put it. Gosh, I didn't want to cut those parts down, but for time's sake, I had to cut it when the panda came in. And then when I had to cut when the net was thrown on you, like you did so good. The other day as I'm editing, I'm going in and doing it, and I'm sitting here laughing like because the net comes on and you're like, and you fall to the ground like you just committed to that. You dive right in. And I laughed so much, and I laughed so hard.
Oh, that was fun. That was so silly. It was so fun.
Yeah. I loved it. Oh, man. And so, that's no problem. I can do that.
Okay. Cool.
Awesome sauce. Well, you have a fantastic evening.
You too.
Thank you. And I will talk to you later.
All right.
Thank you. Have a great night.
You're welcome. You too.
Thanks. Bye. Mwah.
Hey, thanks for listening to this podcast. And a friendly reminder, click subscribe or follow and check out Why You Gotta Be So Salty on YouTube. The link is in the show notes. And click subscribe, follow, like with the content that you see there. And last, check out saltywords.com. There's a lot of flavor to add to your daily experience. So I hope we get to hang out in the future, and I'll see you next time.